I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to hand over the table, first of all, to Matthew. If he wants to make, each of you wants to make a brief statement, that's fine. And then once we've done that, we'll just throw open the discussion to everyone. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Richard. In some ways, we're pushing on a closed door, an open door, because hecking's already started. Because I'm not certainly one of those people that can be described as the only culture they ever had is a yoghurt in their fridge. I think that's the way Mike Free described himself. Well, that's certainly not myself. Books have changed my life. Libraries have changed my life. And I have to say that I was very proud that when I was on Barnet Council as deputy leader, I changed the libraries. I'm very proud of what we did in Barnet. We made it from a library which wasn't being used to an information centre and a library that has an increased footfall, and people go there and use it. And I'm very proud of that. And I think tonight, I'm slightly disappointed that a couple of people said, we're talking about the cuts, we're going to close the library. That's not what I've been reading in terms of the consultation from the council. Now, I'm not here to defend the council, I'm not a councillor anymore. I'm a member of parliament. But what I am speaking in my own perspective as a member of parliament is what I see as the future of the library service. I see it as something being inclusive, available, and open when people want it. Now, one of the issues I had with the library service many years ago was that they were selling out DVDs, renting out DVDs, at a lower price than some of the shops were locally who rent out these things. And they were undercutting the market. And they weren't making money either. So they were spending money on something, a commodity, which wasn't producing any net benefit. And so I was always unhappy that they were competing in that respect. I wanted them to focus on other areas that no one else provided. Now, I have to say that I will claim I've been to more libraries in this Henley constituency than anyone else in this room. And I remember once when Councillor Suzette Palmer said, who's a member of the library? And there were only 3 of us that put our hands up. And indeed, I always carry my library card with me, because I never know when I'm going to go into the library. I first read Ralph Ellison's Invisible Man in Hendon Library. I first read The Confessions of a Justified Sinner in Edgware Library while I was waiting in my surgery. So I use the library more than anyone, but I want to see it relevant to people nowadays. Now, people don't read books like they used to. And it doesn't help when people like Victoria Beckham say, I've never read a book in my life. Because then other people think, well, what's the point of books? And I tell you something, as someone who was that young person at one time, the only time in my life I did read books was when I was a teenager, because it wasn't cool. And I didn't want to go to places like the library. And the problem we face nowadays is that people are using different mediums. They are using Kindles. Now, I'm still a Luddite. The lady said about not downloading a book. I'm a Luddite because I still want to carry my book around with me. I carry it on the tube, I carry it till it's doggy until I finished it. It's the most precious thing to me till it's finished. And then I move on to the next one. So I'm not one of these people. I still want to go to the library. And I still want to go to places like Waterstones. And the thing is about Waterstones and the library is that I will pick out books that I wouldn't ordinarily unless I was browsing. And that only comes from going to these places. So when I say you're pushing on an open door, I certainly want to see the libraries we make. But I do want to see them change. Now, one of the biggest positive aspects about the flagship library, the lady who was the writer said, we don't want flagship libraries. We already have one in Hendon. And it's one I certainly use a great deal. And the best thing about that, it has a cafe. And it's very popular. We have a lot of the students who not only use the library, but also use the cafe. And that does bring in income. So that is one way that we can bring in income in terms of our library stock. But there are other ways as well. When I came in, Richard said that we should rent out some of the rooms. Certainly, I'd be very keen to see that happen. But we do need to keep encouraging people to go to libraries. And at the minute, it is an option. The council will withdraw any service if it's not used. And that's what we have to ensure that doesn't happen. Now, tonight, what I want to take away, and what I want from every single person in this room, is a commitment from all of you that you will, sir, fill in the consultation and put your view to the council. And until that happens, then the council aren't in a position to make a decision. Now, the leader of the council, infamously, was very unhappy about the closure of Totteridge Library. And I think that was a sham, because we were told that that was going to reopen. And it didn't. Now, I hear some chuntering that I was in charge. I certainly wasn't. That was before my time. But There are other libraries, such as East Finchley, which was proposed for closure under the previous Labour Council as well, but the opposition against that stopped it, and we can stop the same again. But we need to see the library service functioning, providing the services, and we need to look at the three options and decide what we want to do. And I would also hope that some people would volunteer to be part of what I would call community librarian, because it happens in other countries. And I certainly think that there's a lot of people who are not only willing and able, but also eager to participate in such a valuable service. So that's where I'm coming from tonight. I look forward to hearing particularly from the one person who's been making that decision. It's not me, it's not Andrew Dismal, it will be John and his colleagues on the council. It is their final decision, not ours. But that is certainly where I should be coming from. That is where I've lobbied the League of the Council, and I will continue to lobby the League of the Council. And I do not expect, and I hope the League of the Council hears my words, I do not expect Mill Hill Library to close. Thank you. I think it's very easy to bring out things like consultants to say, we'll cut the budget there. But one of the things that Labour Party was saying by it was, how many people are earning over £100,000? Let's cut them. And we found out over 80% of them are actually secondary school head teachers. So you can't just cut them. But there's 2 points to make, and I'm not here to defend the council, I'm not going to. But the Children's Education Libraries and Safeguarding Committee were given a target of £8.5 million to save by 2020. And that was voted upon by both the Labour Party and the Conservative Party. So to go back to your point, John, they're not going to take this consultation off the table. These are the options, and they have to make those savings because of the dire financial deficit we find this country still in. And we certainly found this government when we were elected in 2010. And secondly, this lady here makes a really good point. She makes a really good point, and I'm going to answer that. Thank you. She made a really good point. And the reason you probably got a job after a period of unemployment was because of your work in the library. I certainly would have employed someone who had been working, who certainly had experience, and certainly had learned a great deal more than being unemployed and not being engaged in employment. You can stand with your mouth open, but that's just ridiculous. Could you sit back down, please? The people in society who do not have work are more likely to be those the people in society who don't have work are more likely to be those who are not literate or numerate. And to take a role in a library will be a fantastic opportunity for them to improve their life skills. Now, I'm sure this lady doesn't agree with that, but certainly, I think that contributes towards her getting a job.
All right, we're going to take another question.
I'll be very brief. It is, as someone who certainly believes in localism, it is the decision of the local authority and how they run their services, and I'm a strong supporter of that, and I remain so on this. I do remain a firm supporter of the library service, but people do need to bear in mind the deficit that the country currently has, and the amount of money that goes to local authorities has been cut. And it has to be cut, we have to live within our means. But that being said, one thing I will take away from tonight, I'll be interested to see, I see the Unison members have now left, but they have come forward with option 4, and I'd be interested in seeing what that option is. And I'm also very pleased that, I think Richard mentioned it, that if that option 4 comes about, or any other option, that we look at having a referendum on whether local people do want to pay more. Because no one went into the last election, be it the general election or indeed the local election, saying they wanted council tax to go up. And I challenge anyone to go into an election saying that. So the referendum would be an opportunity, I think, that would actually unite the 4 of us sitting on this panel. We could all agree with that. That if we had a referenda and if the people of Barnet decided that they wanted to pay an additional amount, that amount is quite complicated and is spent on the library service. And I would be very keen to put that to the League of the Council, and I urge the councillors to talk to the League of the Council and to put that to them as well. Thank you. Thanks to everyone.